If you're at
Hey,
York, say hi.
I got something, while Chris is here, he can comment on it. We have made Kirk made a change to the specifications for track spacing on modules. I don't know if anybody's in the process of building a module right now or not, but just so you know, on the website, sgma.us, we have a complete list of the specifications for module building. And Chris, you can probably comment on this much better than I can, but you discovered that there were some variations in the spacing on the tracks. Is that right?
Yeah, a little bit, not too bad. I mean, basically, the centers have pretty much stayed the same as far as the way the module's laid out for the most part. The biggest thing that we decided to go into, and the modification Norm, I believe, is doing his now, we kind of eliminated the actual 42 diameter inner loop as a circle diameter. It kind of moved us into a position where we have more fluidity. We can put different components on that rail that we can never put on there before, because 57, you can run about anything on it, just about within reason. And obviously, you're not going to run custom, streamline or anything in these wide radius. But anybody that was in our recent display will tell you that we eliminating the 42 track was probably the best move we ever made, because it just glides through there with ease. And Kirk found, we found this out in 14 when we did the museum layout, because the museum layout has no 42 in it. It's got 57, 72, and 87. We just never, as a club and as a module component, entertained the thought of using 57 as a staple radius to substitute and kind of meld it across more than one module for the ability to to lay it out. Because initially when the club was formed, we kind of stayed with the constraints that everything would fit on a 4x4 square, and we've kind of stepped out of the boundaries at just a little bit. But the 57 kind of splays across about a foot on either side of the corner of a corner module into the adjacent straight. But so doing that, it's enabled us, like I said, you can run just about anything on it. And it took out a lot of problems that we would normally have, especially on some of the vintage stuff, going into 42 curves with not maintaining high voltage on straightaway. You kind of whacking into the curve, and you're ended up in a situation where you can implode. That's about the biggest basic change we got, but it really worked out well. And I think we're going to see that, Norman have to correct me on this, I'm not 100% sure, that we'll see that up at the York display, that he's going to modify his curves also from the Merlin group. But you'd have to ask him on that, because I can't speak for what status that's at.
Chris is at Beaver. I'm the modulator for the York show, and I think one clarification to your discussion is that it's the same spacing between the tracks on the straightaways, the 42 spacing, but we're building adapters to put 57 curves into place. And
correct.
You and Kirk did it one way with the winter tour layout. Norman and I are in the process of planning to build adapter modules to lengthen the corners, and they're 7.25 inches deep. And excuse me. So at York, we will be operating 57 curves.
Okay.
On the 42 track on the inner loop. Yes.
Then we're set. I mean,
Well, it's going to be 57. Yeah.
yeah. It's a welcome change, only because of it takes an awful lot of stress out of any type of motorized drive you're running through there, whether it's a steeple cab or it's a custom built locomotive, to a certain extent. I know Norm had quite a few of his pieces on the 42 loops, both east and west, and they ran flawlessly and really had minimal change in speed going through corners, pulling a consist. So that's about the only real major change that we have. But it has nothing to do with the layout of the spacing of the straights. That's maintained and it has not changed. And there's, as Ed pointed out, they're putting in adapter modules in a different fashion than what Kirk and I did when we modified our modules. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's really up to the individuals and how your componentry is put together. And all you're doing basically is just giving a little bit of additional length you need to, to mount that 90-degree radius, for the 57. That's all. Hope that answered your question, Jim.
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to point out that we did make a change to the standards on the website, SGMA .us. The standards number 3 and number 5, it has to do with the tracks, the centering of the tracks. All new modules will have tracks centered 5 7/8, 13 1/8, and 27 5/8 from the front edge measured at tangent to the connecting surfaces. That's a slight change from what the original standard was, apparently. But old modules do not need to be modified because it's such a minor change that they're compatible. So standard number 3 and standard number 5 will have this certain very minor change. I just want to point that out in case anybody's building modules. They can go to sgma.us under standards and find what the exact measurements are up to date as of January of this year.
Well, Jim Kelly Evans, this is Ed Beaver. It's still what it's designed to accommodate is 87 curves, 72 curves, and 42 curve spacings, correct? That's what it should be.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Kirk said, I guess after, even with the 42s, after sort of measuring where they really wind up coming out, that the specs were off by like 1/8 of an inch on the
1/8 of an inch.
inside.
Yeah.
It's very
It's
minor.
ever so slight.
Yeah,
And
it's tin plate, if it's tin plate track, it's going to move that much if you need it to. But if you're going to build new ones, you may as well build it to the number we now know after years of practice actually is correct, not the ones we did before everybody built the modules they have today. So
not completely being on cue where Jim was going with this in the beginning of that question. He's correct in making this where this is coming from, and just so everybody else knows, when we made that change to 87, that slight difference between the 84 and the 87, I think, is what's throwing everybody off of a lot of this. Basically, you changed the outer loop spacing. The 72 track pretty much stayed where it was at, for the most part. It was barely negligible. Okay, but that's maintaining our basically our 7 1/4 clearance center going through the radius, because luckily to date we've been really good outside. Like I said, here you go again. The only thing I know of that we have not tested, because nobody's ever put one on there, is at the Haynes set, and that's really out there as far as width and spacing goes. We've had no contact and any damage, with passenger cars or anything. So,
You want me to
so
bring
far
one?
to date, we've been good.
You want me to bring it to Haynes set and we'll see?
We can always try it, Jim. The only reason I'm game is because, let's face it, there's going to come a point in time when somewhere somebody's going to, hey, can we do this? and it'll probably work. But my thoughts are that if we're going to do that, you may be restricted to
87.
1134 Blue Comets, passenger cars on 72, just
Yeah.
because of the width. You know what I mean? Because I somewhere
Yeah.
along the line, it's going to get a little hairy, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I tested the 30-inch Lee Lines cars on the two radii, 87 and 72, and they were designed to clear. But I don't know about the Haynes. I think the Haynes cars are a little wider.
Well, the wider and the truck spacing and the couplers, the way they're put together, it's really they're kind of reminiscent of the old HO River Rossi cars, the way they had this massive overhang because of the pivot angles and stuff. So it's a crapshoot. And I honestly don't. The Haynes cars don't run well. We had one or two pieces on the museum layout. They don't even roll well, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, it's true.
The chances of seeing that are probably negligible at best.
Well, the big stuff really needs to go on the outer loop, the 87 loop, because we had one incident where we had a big articulated on the 72 loop and it crashed into the stuff on the 87 loop. So need to be careful there, boys and girls, when we're running stuff. But that happened at Oaks this past July. So no major casualties.
Well, we all, a bunch of us joke about, I have a custom Royal Canadian Hudson that it's a one-off that somebody made years ago. And all of us here on the West Coast have nicknamed it Thumper for what it does to the walls.
I remember you hauled that thing all the way across to York.
Yeah, a lot of you guys did see that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's massive.
Yeah, it's about 4 or 5 inches at least bigger than a 400E and a lot wider.
Yeah. Pretty engine though.
The width is the problem.
Norm's new big boy will test everything out.
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah, like I said,
It's not a big boy, it's gonna be the big guy.
Yeah. There you
It's
go.
not a big boy.
Yeah, you got Norm's King Kong.
I don't think it's gonna be too bad though. I'm engineering it for at least a bit of overhang anyway.
I'll tell you what, I suspect it might be less than the Harman Challengers. The cab on those things swings out very wide.
Yeah.
A couple of guys on the call have had to redesign their layout in order to get it around without it whacking the walls.
Cab corners and pilots have always been, and even steam, cylinder assemblies have been, a problem with some of these locomotives, depending on what you're doing. Okay. But without a shadow of a doubt, width is really critical. And unfortunately, out of all the locomotives that we, occasionally run on that display, the one is really problematic because of its tendency to have a little bit of a drunken sailor affair is the Brute. Because I don't know what they did wrong when they engineered that thing, but it's got the worst return rate known to man. It kind of, when it's going down the track, it kind of looks like it's in a little bit of a drunken stupor, leaning about 15 degrees to the left or the right, whichever leg started, through the curve first. And unless you physically go there and correct the body onto the frame, it stays that way. It does not come back. So
Well, those things are originally designed for Buddy L track, right?
correct. Yeah. And here you go again,
Wide.
yeah. I don't know if Ash is with us, but the last York, it was it was one of the most unique questions I think I was ever asked. He wanted to find out if we could take Buddy L and put standard gauge trucks on it and make it work.
Yeah.
And my exact answer to him was, yeah, okay, that's going to be like taking a 5-year-old and putting 4-inch heels on her and see if she can walk. You can forget that idea. It's not happening.
Ballet shoes on the elephant, right?
Yeah, it's like, no, this ain't happening. So in concept, it may look neat, but feasibility is definitely not there. So
It's like the showroom cars. You can put a seat on those things, man, and ride them, I think.
Yeah. Have we ever run that set around the SGMA layout? The
Showroom?
showroom cars? Yeah,
I don't know.
because that's one that if we're gonna crash anything, that'd be the one. Those things are what, like,
I don't even, does anybody have a set? I don't even know.
well,
The only place I've ever seen it run is at the old Cal Stewart meets. They would do it on the floor layout,
oh, okay.
so all
Yeah.
the buildings and everything were movable.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah, yeah. We don't have that option.
Yeah.
So,
We'll see.
Ashley-
Maybe we'll get Ash to bring a setup. He has a bunch of them.
yeah,
He
was
he
gonna.
runs
he
them
was
on
gonna
his
bring-
layout. He's got, what, Jim,
Yeah.
what size curves does he have?
He's got the 87 and 72s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was gonna bring the red set to Winter
But-
Tour, and then he got sick.
But see, here you go again, running them on concentric circles and
Right.
running them on a display, two different ball games.
Oh, yeah,
It's,
for sure.
we're here you go again. Let's take it to the other stream. Okay. I don't think outside of Lloyd Wismer, I don't know if anybody else ever brought an original Tunerville trolley. That thing is massively high. It's
Wow.
like 10.5 inches tall. It's one of the only things I think that we physically could not run on a display as it is now.
Who's
because of
trolley?
tunnel.
There's several of them.
The original standard gauge Tunerville trolley is
Okay.
not only Humpty Dumpty, but it's very tall.
Okay.
The top peak of it, I think, is it's around 10 inches high. Or when you measure from the top to the bottom, that's
Yeah.
because that was a
Yeah, it's
question
got a-
when we
It's got a
did the,
chimney on the top here.
Yeah.
Say again?
It's got a chimney, I think, on the top here.
Yeah,
Definitely
because
a big cupola.
when we did design the tunnel portals for the station complex, that was the one question I asked Kirk. I said, "You're going to make this tall?" Because we did that. I had to fabricate not only the leg height, but I had to know where we were going with this thing right out of the gate, for measurements. And we made a decision that that's not allowed because it got to the point of like, where are you going to stop? I mean, you literally would have the station complex 12 to 13 inches off the other track. It's going to be a little ridiculous. I mean, you need a step ladder to go see it.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, guys, let me make a unpaid promotional announcement for our York layout. Number one, we're looking for additional modules. If anybody has any that they'd like to bring, give me a call or contact me, and I'll put a note on the SGMA forum. It'd be nice to have a couple more modules. Number two, the station complex is not going to be on the York layout, so we will be able to run anything of any height, I think. Unless, Norm, you've got a special, I don't know what you're planning to do with your 2-level display, but you have a lot of clearance there for one thing. So anyway, we got lots of space, looking for more modules. End of promotional announcement.
I think Bill's putting his together.
Good.
Okay.
Hey, and how about another plug that, we can certainly help if anybody wants to learn how to make modules and is interested in having them and being a regular part of the operating crowd. We can help you get the assets and to help put some together. So please, contact one of us if you're thinking about it. I know where to get the track.
Good, we all.
And if you don't have enough people near you to make modules worth building, you can still come to the shows, bring your trains, bring your ability to help set up and tear down. It's always fun.
Exactly.
And with your permission, I'll change our discussion tone here for a moment and then show people what a tabletop layout looks at. This is the Manassas show.
Go
Yeah,
for
go
it.
for it.
Let me call my stuff up here, and then I will need to screen share here. Let's see. Can you guys see that white tabletop?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, beautiful.
This tradition started by about 10 years ago and more.
Yeah, oh, easy 10 years ago.
Tabletop video. 3. Heidi. Number 16.
Great
City of
job.
Manassas does the decorating for us.
Yeah, this is a partnership with the city of Manassas. They got a whole lot of these ceramic buildings donated for the express purpose of Christmas displays. So we put the layout on, Norm and I usually do that on Monday of that week. And then they come in and decorate afterwards. So that's Dave Hobson's American Fire special money. And, one night green 400Es, some vintage 200 works.
I like the use of their rocks and
We know
whatnot.
about the city of
Display.
Manassas donated. Of course, this is tabletop style. The city actually provides us with the white anchor covers, so we don't have to bring white sheets.
Looks really good.
We had a lot of fun.
40 feet long and about 8 feet wide.
Look at that. Oof. We had a lot of fun with this. I can't, I don't have any voice on this thing, but
And video number 3.
Yeah, we can hear you, Clem, if you want to.
oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Struggling, thank you. We had a wonderful time with that, started by Frank Hale, guys, years and years ago. What was the attendance this year, Ed?
We had 1,500 people that came in on Saturday and Sunday, and over the 2 days, that is. And then we do for specialized groups Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday evenings. We got another about 600 that. So it's about a total of 2,000 people that come through.
And that's not a big building.
It's about 2,000 square feet space on the 3rd floor where we're at. It's
just a thrilling thing for how many years, Ed, just me and a couple of guys running standard gauge and a dog bone. And did you mention, or I can't tell, I'm working on your years. When you're the early dog bones, Ed, if you remember, they were just like a dog bone. All we have was one loop, and then in between the thing. And at the end, the ladies of the station put a glass fountain and such things. Midnight special went through one night. One of those running fountains, cheesy little thing with a lot of glass parts. Man, there was glass everywhere. Jesus. The rest of the time we hid the fountain, and every night everybody took turns trying to repair that damn thing. Did I send you the picture, Ken, you or Ed, of the 2 little kids this fall when the standard gauge came through? Do you see that one?
No, I did not, Clem. And you had a special session there on Wednesday evening with getting started with all your special trains. That was great. And a lot of interaction with the kids. That's
See where it is, because Ken, did you get it?
I did not.
Oh,
If do you have it and you could share it, or if I got it, I don't remember where it is.
I don't know how to share it. No, I'll get it to you.
We'll
The
do
2
it.
little kids are watching standard gauge, and it comes by and they fall apart. And it just, I've sent it to Faith, I think. Because when I sent to Faith Edwards.
Besides Norm helping me with the setup, then Craig Shelley was there also during setup, and he helped on Wednesday evening. And then Dave Hobson comes down from northern New Jersey. He and his wife camp out for the weekend.
Amazing, isn't it?
Make an event of it. And of course, the building itself is right on the Norfolk Southern tracks in Manassas, Virginia, right across the tracks from the historic Manassas station. So all of the Amtrak trains come in and stop there and put on quite a show. And Virginia Railway Express during the week. So quite spectacular.
I don't think I know how to share, do I? Sandy's going to bed, so I'll do
At
it.
the bottom of your screen, Clem, there's a little, maybe a green item that says share screen.
Okay,
Click on that green, little green blocks down there.
now
You
what?
have to have your picture up on the screen ready to go, though.
Oh, okay, I haven't, I'll be wasting too much time. I'll get it to you.
Okay.
It's really special. And that's
Yes.
grown so much. The
Kids
fun,
love it.
when we do that,
Well-
so I think Ed and I have said, in the O-gauge world, we're running Amtrak. And what is it, 6:30 in the evening, Ed, during the week? The Florida special comes through, the real train comes through. And the kids go nuts looking at it. Looking at it on a high rail and looking out the window to see what they're having for dinner.
Yep.
Don't
Exactly.
tell me trains are for kids anymore.
And I'm
have
gonna go in a Wayback Machine for a minute. 2015 Somerset Convention. You, me, Clem, Wayne, okay, one or two other guys. We did the tabletop there.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, that was
Absolutely.
We were pretty
Where?
primitive. I just had green sheets.
Yep. Had a green carpet we laid out.
Where was this?
In Somerset, in New Jersey. You were there.
Over there, we had the flat
Chris,
tire.
let me go offline a minute and I will.
No,
find-
that was down at,
It is
I
a-
think that was before that. That was that we had Chantilly years ago.
Yeah.
Way back.
yeah, but
I
we
think
had-
that was the one where Stomper took out the forest when it went down the corner too fast.
Stomper
Got a lot
lives.
of control.
Hey,
Stomper
we
lives.
ran, in 2010, we ran an engine that was absolutely spectacular, pulling 4 cars. And Jim and I got to see that this past weekend, and I'm gonna run it.
Look at
I
these
hope it comes through and you can see this. I don't know how many of you remember this, but
Oh, yeah.
right?
Lord.
Yep.
Look at that piece of machinery.
John Chris, 1 of
Yep.
5. And the cars it's pulling are 1 of 1. Those are Jerry
Standard
Brown.
gauge, they're standard gauge rail cheap cars, what they are.
Yeah, by Jerry Brown. I mean,
Yeah.
Jerry did some of a different, of similar design, but
Mm,
Look at that welded bridge.
Beautiful.
I mean, just
Yeah,
look at the car.
when
Yeah.
those cars sold, I was wondering what was gonna pull them. That's beautiful. Oh, like what locomotive could do justice to those cars? And you just showed me the answer. That's great.
Just right.
Isn't that fantastic? Yeah,
One more.
you got
Okay,
the,
gotta go back to screen
flower.
sharing. I pulled up one more here. Oh, gosh, where the hell is it? There it
you get
is.
the Mauer?
Yeah.
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 Mm,
That one doesn't do it too bad either. Look at that thing.
Heck is that?
my Lord.
It's a Pete Mauer, Penske
now
L5.
L5, you say, yeah.
There's only 4 of them made
Mm,
back in the 80s. Might even been the late 70s. I don't know. That general era. Vintage.
I don't remember. Look at her churning and burning.
Carl Ramling had the prototype, now owned by Dave Wallace. And Dave Cars, this was Arno's engine. Dave Cars picked up at the Arno auction.
But it was so great seeing that Dreyfus again. I didn't even know David had gotten it. And, you know, I guess on the way up, Jim and I were discussing it and he told me, and it was like, I'll never forget those days in 2010 when we had that running on the layout. That thing was just so cool seeing. And Of course, Arno bought the M10,000, the Jerry Brown. He bought the Jeremy Brown Green Diamond. He bought the brass streamliner, and we had lots of videos from that
Yeah.
from that show. And I believe
Monroeville.
yeah. I mean, that was insane.
We had a lot of, that was a special component. We had a good time there.
We always
Yeah,
have
good layout, and there's a lot of great video of that on YouTube. from
Yep.
that SGMA 2010.
Yeah, that,
Yeah.
I still remember Jim Cosole. That was a build as you go layout. You just
Yeah.
kept bringing in more lumber.
Yeah,
Just going to get it to work one way or another. Just kept bringing in more lumber.
it was pretty cool.
wonderful
Hey, I
time.
just like to add something real quick that Ed brought up and also Ken brought up. For those that cannot facilitate with modules and want to participate, I brought this up before. I'm going to reiterate. If we have 10 guys that come to a show, okay, and set up and put together, and 4 of them don't bring modules, they're just bringing trains or whatever. If they facilitate with trees and scenery elements, anything that you can think of that's going to fit the motif, okay, that adds so much visual interest to a show that you can't pick it up any other way. Kirk, Jeanette, myself, we spent a lot of time adding in all the foliage and everything else on the winter tour display. It takes time. But if you have a couple individuals that their sole purpose is to bring, let's call it, for lack of a term, a scenery package, okay, that frees up the rest of us that are trying to get the layout together, operational, clean, so on, okay, skirted, you name it. If they have specific areas already mapped out, and Ed does such a good job of giving us a pictorial of what we're going to look like, one or two phone calls, a text message, something, hey, I got, X, Y, Z, and these colored trees and a baseball diamond or a park scene or whatever. I mean, let somebody know, because those enhancements, that's what made the winter tour show so nice. We had the time to do that. Okay. And we have a few individuals that are dedicated to helping us do that. Okay. It'll make every display so much more memorable.
Wish I could have come, Chris.
Absolutely.
Hey, Chris,
Yes, sir.
does this help? Will that help your mountain?
What did you get? The Back to the Future locomotive?
What's the blue band?
That's early blue
That's the
band to
Bungee
you.
Express.
Oh.
That's a mountain climber, live steam O-gauge mountain climber. Came
Wow.
out of my pile of stuff that I had acquired some time ago, and I just thought, well, man, that's just mighty fine. And it does not work. Did you see the bottom? How's that, Jimmy?
Hey, Clem, we'll use that for our next Duquesne incline when we come out with that.
Yeah, we'll get a Markland Mountain and run this sucker. I had to share it with you.
Interesting.
Stomper says hello, by the way.
Tell him I said hello back.
Yeah. We miss
Well,
him.
Ed,
Yeah.
Bring
Well, Stomper-
Stomper to York. We'll put extra generators online.
Okay, yeah, get a warning. Remember at York, Stomper started a fire?
Yes, indeed. Absolutely true. I have the holes in my sheets to prove it.
And what caused it, Ed?
Was a-
Remember?
it was a breakthrough in the insulator. The tracks were down to the metal frame of the tables we were using is what happened. And I forget how we got through that.
We had 2 loops. We had 2 transformers. The transformers were plugged in out of sync.
Yeah.
So ground on
out of
one,
phase,
ground
yeah.
on the other.
Yeah.
And Stomper pushed the track together, and the fire started a fire.
She had sparks.
So our
No.
reputations are one.
we got a fix for this. We're going to get an excerpt from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Yeah,
When he plugs the lights in the house and they got to throw the knife switch, we'll have that playing the next time you fire Stomper off, so we got extra power.
there you go. Oh, Stomper's probably gonna need a tune-up. Joe did it, Norm did it, but she's pretty hard on the rails, you know. She keeps peeling the tin off the rails. I don't know what it is. But we do have her speed under control, Jim.
Right, right.
She's not allowed to go faster than 5.29 times the speed of light,
Right.
because you go at 5.31 times the speed of light and you'll revive all the way around the other stand. You'll arrive all the way around the universe faster than you can depart. So she has to be below that speed, and I have that in writing.
Luckily, I have my boots on here.
Yeah, well,
You
that's
know-
kind of running a close second with the Little Rascals Blur, the race car.
Yeah, you do know about Stomper's fuel, right? Don't you? The new fuel? Are you current on a new fuel?
You got Mr. Fusion.
Hmm?
Mr.
No, it's
Yeah, there you go.
antimatter ketchup.
Antimatter ketchup.
Antimatter ketchup. So it weighs nothing. It doesn't pollute. And when you launch with that at 5.29, it leaves a trail. When it burns into regular matter ketchup. So there's a trail of ketchup. So then when you turn around and come back, it flies on the regular ketchup and produces antimatter ketchup. So you get when you get home. So nothing lost, nothing wasted, everything's good. And that's all I have to say. Don't miss my auction. I don't mean to toot my
Right.
horn, but there's some neat stuff in there. Chris has been, most of you guys have been at my house, and some
Yeah.
survived and some did not, and I don't know what status are, but. And some
Is
of
the
this-
catalog up yet? I checked a couple days ago and didn't see it. I saw the advertisement for
Oh,
it.
I saw that advertisement. Look at it carefully. Some of the guys like Chris has looked it over pretty carefully, because some of it's just junk. And some of it's so interesting that you just can't not have it. So
Hey, I
we
saw
have-
that Kerry Williams posted some photos. He must have visited. And she showed photos of the stuff sitting on their ready track, their shelves where they stage the stuff. So they must be photographing it. And normally they have the pictures out 3 to 4 weeks before the auction. So
I
that
get,
would be probably next week.
a couple of questions, and somebody asked a question that came back to me, and I have not seen it. I've offered to help with the writing if it contributes. I mean, not the bullshit, but some of the stuff is really nicer than it looks, and some of the stuff, I don't know how a
Yeah.
picture is going to show, like that orange thing, the nuclear engine with the bomb
Yeah.
tops on top. You see that thing?
Yeah.
It's in the promotion thing.
Yeah.
That's a Flyer standard gauge engine in that thing.
Oh, wow.
It is ugly. Hui.
Clem, a reminder, what auction house is doing that for you?
Greg Stout. Go to
Um,
Stout.
Indiana, right?
Yeah, and it's in Indiana. It's not in Pennsylvania.
Clem, any idea, is that something they decide, or did you decide that?
I asked, I've known Greg, since you started, and I said, would you do it for me in Indiana? And he said, yes.
Okay.
I don't know what made the decision.
Mhm.
Probably-
I was just wondering how they decided, where to hold it.
I do not know. That's the home state. One assumes he has more stuff than Zippy does, more layout, more space to spread this stuff out, because you're going to have to write up. You just can't say 400E and it's blue and it's got a crack. You can't. There's all kinds of parts and pieces, and I don't know how you describe it, but he came with one guy loaded up, and still left a lot of stuff here. And Happy's got it. The Delker Helix is there too. The standard gauge Delker Helix
Oh, wow.
is in the loan. The O gauge one I still have. It's just too cute, but don't be running no 400Es on that Delker. It'll only fall off once.
Hey, I got I got this up real quick. February 23rd, 2023, Williamsport, Indiana, collection of Clem Clement, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., February 23rd.
Yeah.
Is the catalog up yet?
I'm looking. Doesn't look like it. No,
No, it wasn't the other day.
no.
Probably,
I just,
probably next week.
yeah. But at
It's-
least everybody knows, who's still on the Zoom call knows when it is. So
Yeah.
we'll
Appreciate
definitely be looking.
And if you guys win anything, it'd be fun to know where my old piece.
Where it
of-
went.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
where
let
it
you
went.
know.
I don't want to know how much you paid. I don't want to know. No. I've had
The
such a
real-
wonderful time.
The
in
real
my
cost
life.
isn't what you paid, it's what the final invoice is with the kicker and the shipping and the packaging and the tax. It's about usually twice what the gavel is.
Yeah, you don't want to know about that. And it's just the pleasure. The whole thing is a pleasure, all you people around the world.
There you go.
I was thinking earlier tonight that we're in the Reliance restaurant. You remember, Jim?
Oh, yeah.
Out there, and it's colder than shit. And then
There's
here-
about 6 of us, right?
Yeah. And then Chris, you remember the beer wagon coming by? Wasn't that you that was stealing beer out of that van? No kidding. The damn, we were at the Reliant.
I'm gonna let that go.
Hey, Clem, you started the whole show and tell thing at those little breakfasts where it was pretty much just a handful of the SGMA guys.
Yeah. And the
And,
beer truck came by at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Then we kind of outgrew the Reliance, and then they kind of went out of business.
They went
But
out of business, yeah.
we had probably 15, 20 people there by the time we cleared out of there, right?
Yeah, and we
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
know each other, people, who the hell is that?
The last breakfast, we had 90 people at it. And 12 tables full of trains.
It's just, I'm sorry I couldn't make it. It's just, hadn't been that long ago. And then again, it just, we're not sure, do we want to do the Reliance? Well, I was in leadership role at York, so
Yeah.
I kind of knew where things were that we could use. So I was working with the owner, the old man down at the Reliance. He said, sure, we'll do that. We'll bring
Yeah.
a hungover waitress from Thursday night's parties. And that was the room is a porch. And it was
Yeah.
put there to smoke.
Right.
Brokers
Cold
had come and said,
porch.
what's going on, and there's smoke and we're doing all our shit. And it's, our memory is, it's just, I'm so lost now with what you guys are doing and so impressed with what's happening. Who thought, Ed and I are trying to put together a little club here at Ashby Ponds, and I'm thinking, geez, because I've done that before, and this place is so ripe for having trains run.
Oh my gosh.
I've got 10 or 20 people. So, well, I've got some in the house. One guy said, I got one standard gauge car. What do you want to do with it? I'll give you $20.
Throw it on the track.
Throw it on the track. Get it running.
Get
Yeah.
it running. There's 1,800 souls here, 1/4 of which are retired military,
Wow.
and another 1/4 of which is NSA or CIA or whatnot. So some of them won't talk to me, some of them will talk to me. And
Yeah, watch those guys, right? Yeah.
I showed one car and the lady said, I got the rest of that, said at home. Then she disappeared.
Wow.
We're trying. We're just thrill. Every day is a thrill for me.
Yeah,
We're glad to hear that.
I don't
keep
know.
on having fun.
If Larry is on, he showed he's just a name. He's a sidekick of mine here. He's going to help with just to form a general club that says, come talk trains, whatever you want to talk about. I want to hear that you don't like. Bring your subjects. I'd like to put antique cars in it. And I don't know if I could do that, but we're going to try. Plus, I'm told I have to slow down and retire and don't run so nuts or worse will happen. So I'm trying to control myself the best I can.
Not your nature, though.
Yeah.
Well, and thank you. This last month has been stunning, with that VA thing, the TCA quarterly, which Jim didn't mention, but I'll mention it. The National Christmas Tree, y'all read that one in the quarterly?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. nice
Yeah,
article.
That's
Enjoyed
great.
that. Yeah.
Thank you. I love everybody. Ed's been there 100 times. It's just a wonderful time. And I kept poking folks to write something official, you know. So 3 or 4 months
Great
ago.
article, Clem.
Hmm?
That was a great article.
Thank you. But you'll notice all the pictures of me. That-
Got to go with what you have available, right?
well, yeah, and I love John Zampino and whatnot, but I kept wanting to, and I kept submitting stuff. Let's do a big story. Let's fill up the quarterly. Well, we got it, and you got me. We were.
And the fellow that was the director of that was Jack Frost, and we
Yes.
lost him to a sudden heart attack. He had had a
Yeah.
long-term heart disease problem
Yeah.
and prior treatments, and it was kind of a shock. He just
Mm.
collapsed in the parking lot coming out of the doctor's office.
Thank you
So
for coming down,
that's
Ed.
funeral, last weekend.
Yeah. Everybody was pleased to see you. I couldn't make it. I can't trust it yet, but Jack was everywhere.
Yeah, Jack was everywhere. He was into a lot of things, and a lot of his stuff is down at that Rappahannock Museum in Fredericksburg now.
Yeah.
So
Had a
tells
home,
a lot of lives.
he had a home in Fairfax, and we had G Gage running around the yard. He also at the what's it called? Ed, Botanical Gardens, is that the right title?
I think so. I'm not familiar with it, Clem.
But the botanical it's, you know, botanical is a word that doesn't work. It has various ends to it, but it means where you go to see the poinsettias and whatnot. He did the maintenance in there for the G Gauge layout. Do you know that?
I did not know that.
He did that every day. He would scoot down there if they needed stuff. And that's the layout that had mostly recreations of Washington, D.C. buildings, all done in natural wood. And then in and around them with the Stigad stuff running. And it was just world class. Tuesday of that, just before Christmas, a band would come in there and play jazz, good old Southern jazz at trains running. Jack was doing that. Jack and Tim, right, Ed, did all the repair work on our Christmas tree layout.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a full-time job.
Yeah. Oh, what a privilege, what a pleasure, guys like you, others playing trains. Trains are not just for kids anymore.
That's right.
That's for sure.
Mm.
Oh, and I don't know if Kirk's still on the line here or not, but he used a term in his ABC News video coverage of Winter Tour, which was kinetic art, and that's really a neat, I think, interesting byline to get people interested in our trains. And, we should use that more often.
Well,
Wayne, was our first meeting at Reliance? Wayne?
Well, there was early meetings just on the fairgrounds before we really got organized. And then the Reliance is where we started holding the breakfast.
Yeah.
And that was outside, you know, and then every now and then they couldn't get the heater to work.
Yeah, Chris worked on the heater, never did work since.
Yeah.
Didn't you rebuild the heater, Chris?
we beat a monkey wrench a couple times. He got it to work.
Yeah.
You came, I got to beat on that damn thing. God, it was cold outside because there's
Oh,
no,
man.
there was clear plastic for the wind blowing, which blew through anyway.
Yeah,
Out there
exactly.
cold, and the eggs were just like a piece of rubber shoe because they came cold and the people were smoking. God, it was just good fun. But we had some inside at where? At the we started at the restaurant, didn't we?
We had it
Inside.
inside a couple times, and I think one of the last times we were there, we had it on the inside also.
Yeah. But we outgrew it. We outgrew it. They didn't have
Yeah.
room for us.
Yeah, they didn't have room for us. Yeah, and then it was just kind of fate that the last meeting we had there, that was their last day that they were in business. That
Yeah.
Friday, whatever, they were closing. That
Oh, that's
whatever they were
right.
here
Yeah.
for.
Yeah.
We basically were their last breakfast group,
Customers.
crowd,
Yeah.
party,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
When I got involved in that, it was pre-York breakfast was terrible. And the last 3 or 4 tables were just folks. And I got up to, I guess I was number 3 or number 2 there. And I promised to give a presentation, welcome everybody, and then give a standards presentation from the standards the day before, whenever, and then to do some show and tell. I used to bring some shit in, didn't I? I think I did.
Oh, yeah.
We
Yeah,
moved down
usually
the
it's-
far end.
Usually a couple hand trucks full.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, or trash cans. And we could sneak in the back door of that place and not pay that for bad eggs. And then you could park your car right there and jump out at 9 o'clock and zip over to closer to the fairgrounds. Because I remember when Paul Waterman was president, he came there and he wanted to speak early, which we said, sure. And I brought some stuff. And for my 30, 40 years on the standards committee, I always had show and tell for the committee. So I had shit ready for us, oddball stuff and different stuff. And I guess that's where it grew into expanding it for standard SGMA, right?
Yeah.
Because toward the end of that, the whole back end was just SGMA.
Yeah, it was just an SGMA meeting, and then of course we moved it over to the veranda building, and then they used to have, of course, the vendor there, and we would try to support them and buy some more crappy eggs, and now it turned into just donuts and coffee. But much bigger show and tell. I mean, like we said, what was it, a dozen tables, Jim?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was probably what 40 pieces of 40, 50 pieces of train there, one sort of the other engines or sets. Or,
Yeah.
Dave Corbett brought out that fantastic American Flyer work train he built. All 6-wheel trucks, freight cars, cranes, and just fantastic workmanship.
I had in my pile of stuff, there's 8 or 9 standard gauge Flyer modified pieces, custom made Flyer pieces. Some beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
I'll miss it.
But you still got your memories, all the great times of getting them, where they came from, the people you met,
Absolutely.
All around the world.
I was at Dusseldorf not Dusseldorf, Darmstadt for my first German train meet. And I walk up in this, and it's in a castle, so what the hell? So we're riding up with the Chaplain Warrington, and we pull inside and set up their meager amount of junk, and I hear bam, bam. Chaplain, we're all set. In comes a 28 Ford. And blows a tire. So I fixed the tire. Dieter Haas and I fixed the tire. Both of them are with the Lord. Both of them are just wonderful friends internationally. And then I was somewhere else, and there's a Russian train. Any ladies left on this thing? No. There's a Russian train. I know nothing about Russian trains. And the lady, don't listen, Jim, because your ears are
Virgin.
You're too young for it.
Virgin ears. Yeah.
The lady had 3-foot silver boots on 4-foot legs, or maybe it's 4-foot boots on 3-foot legs. I don't know. Whatever she was selling, I was buying. Goodness gracious. And she had just brought the set through the Berlin Wall checkpoint Charlie to get to the meet. So I became an expert in Russian trains.
Fast learner, huh, Clem?
Not that, no. I learned enough to keep my feet running. Goodness gracious. But it did cause me to write the article in, what was it, 73. The Russians are coming in the quarterly. That's where the part about the boots didn't make it for some reason.
It got edited out.
Somebody. It's just been so stunning all over the world and whatnot. This stuff I had the last thing I I did for an auctioneer. The guy, I've forgotten his name, he was very rich and any train he found around the world, and he traveled all the time for the government. If he liked it, he bought it. He had 8 or 9 Russian trains. He had 700Es.
Oh my.
Try to judge it. He had stuff I'd never seen. He had 1 gauge steeple loc in Russian. I have the cars, had the cars. They're all my Russian stuff and O gauge and G gauge is in this auction. It's all copy of either Markland or Bing, and it's terrible copies. Terrible, terrible work.
Well, I don't know if you're supposed to be saying that to potential buyers, so.
You're not much of a marketing guy there, Clem.
Yeah, right. It's crap.
I have never seen that little, you know what a steepleback engine looks like?
Yeah.
Like what is it? What's the the dipper train?
What, the
Coal
380
train,
coal
little-
train?
Yeah, little top of the engine likes that, looks like that. Oh, sorry, looks like that.
Yeah.
Steeple cab.
Steeple cab. Yeah.
Steeple cab, copied the Bing couplings and some of the Bing designs. And it's just so ugly. It's just, I don't have it. I don't have it. I have the cars and I have several of the freight cars, including an armored car, which I have no idea whether it's original or not, but it's Russian. No wonder they can't fight, can't play trains. Y'all be safe, huh?
Yeah.